The grand crystal palace of the Stellaris Empire glowed with an ethereal blue light, its towering spires reaching toward the 3 moons that hung in the purple sky. Inside the royal meeting chamber, King Marcus paced back and forth, his translucent wings twitching with anxiety. The morning's news had shaken him to his core. "Your Majesty," the royal physician bowed deeply, his silver robes shimmering in the ambient light. "I regret to inform you that after extensive testing, Princess Anna shows no signs of fertility. Her egg chambers remain dormant, just as they have been since birth." The king's face darkened, and the bioluminescent patterns across his skin flashed with anger. This news would destroy everything his family had built over 10 generations. The laws of succession were absolute. Only a biological heir could inherit the throne. Without an heir, the empire would fall into chaos after his death. Princess Anna stood by the window, her delicate fingers tracing patterns on the crystal surface. Unlike her father's aggressive red patterns, her skin glowed with gentle blue lights that pulsed softly with her heartbeat. She had always known something was different about her, but hearing it stated so plainly before the royal court hurt more than she expected. "There must be something we haven't tried," King Marcus growled, his voice echoing off the chamber walls. "What about the treatments from the outer colonies?" The physician shook his head. "We've attempted everything known to our science, Your Majesty. The princess's condition appears to be permanent." The news spread through the palace like wildfire. By evening, every noble house knew that the royal line was in danger. Princess Anna could hear the whispers as she walked through the gardens, could see the pitying looks from the servants. She was no longer just the princess. She was the failed heir, the end of a dynasty. The situation grew more complicated when reports arrived from the border planets. Earth, that troublesome planet of primitive but resourceful beings, was pushing back against the Empire's mining operations in their solar system. The humans claimed the asteroid belt as their territory, despite the Empire's superior right to all resources within this sector. King Marcus spent sleepless nights in his private chambers, watching recordings of human diplomatic meetings. These creatures, so different from his people, with their solid skin and inability to absorb starlight, had somehow managed to become a thorn in his side. Their ambassador, a tall woman with hair the color of their sun, had been requesting a meeting for weeks. "Perhaps," suggested his advisor, "we could use this situation to our advantage." The king's patterns flickered with interest. "Explain." "The humans are known for their medical advances, primitive as they may be. They approach problems differently than we do. If we send Princess Anna to them as a gesture of goodwill, we accomplish 2 things. We remove the embarrassment of an infertile heir from court, and we appear generous to our potential adversaries." The idea took root in the king's mind. Yes, this could work. The humans would see it as an honor to host a royal princess, and he would have time to figure out a more permanent solution to his succession problem. Besides, their primitive medicine could do no worse than his own physicians had done. That evening, he summoned Princess Anna to his private garden. She found him standing beneath the luminous trees, their branches heavy with glowing fruit. "My daughter," he said, not turning to face her, "you will go to Earth as our ambassador of goodwill. This is not a request." Anna felt her patterns dim with sadness, but she maintained her royal composure. "Yes, father. When do I leave?" "The human transport arrives in 3 days. Pack only what you need. They will provide the rest." As Anna left the garden, she didn't see the relief in her father's patterns, nor did she hear him whisper, "At least this way, the Empire won't have to watch you fail." 3 days later, as she boarded the human ship, Princess Anna looked back at her crystal world one last time. She didn't know it then, but this moment marked the beginning of a change that would reshape 2 civilizations forever. The human diplomatic vessel Starbridge glided through space, its sleek design a stark contrast to the crystalline ships of the Stellaris Empire. Inside, Princess Anna sat in her private quarters, watching the stars streak by. The room, though luxurious by human standards, felt cold and plain compared to her home. The ship's captain had announced they would reach Earth in 12 hours. Anna spent her time studying the information tablets they had given her about her new temporary home. Earth's gravity would be stronger, its air thicker, and its people so very different from her own. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Global Council had gathered for an emergency session in New Washington. The massive chamber buzzed with excitement and concern as Ambassador Rachel stood at the podium, her voice clear and confident. The Stellaris Empire's decision to send Princess Anna is unprecedented, she announced, her hands gripping the edges of the podium. This is our chance to improve relations and perhaps negotiate better terms for the asteroid mining rights. In the front row, Dr. James Walker shifted uncomfortably in his seat. As head of the Xenobiology Research Center, he would be responsible for the princess's medical care during her stay. The reports he'd received about her supposed infertility didn't make sense. Something about the Stellaris biology didn't add up. Dr. Walker, the ambassador called out, "Is your facility prepared to host our royal guest?" He stood, straightening his lab coat. "Yes, Ambassador. We've modified the environmental controls to match Stellaris atmospheric conditions. Our medical bay has been equipped with their latest approved technology, and we've studied all the data they provided about their physiology." What he didn't mention was his growing suspicion that the Stellaris doctors had fundamentally misunderstood their own reproductive system. Years of studying their biology had shown him patterns that their rigid, traditional medical practices had overlooked. The star bridge entered Earth's atmosphere the next morning. Princess Anna watched in fascination as the blue planet grew larger in her viewport. Unlike her homeworld, with its crystal cities and purple skies, Earth looked like a swirling marble of blue and white. The landing was smooth, but the moment Anna stepped out of the ship, she felt the difference. Earth's gravity pulled at her body, making her feel heavy and clumsy. Her natural glow dimmed slightly in the harsh sunlight, and her wings pressed closer to her body, uncomfortable in the dense air. A delegation waited at the bottom of the ramp. Ambassador Rachel stepped forward first, performing the traditional Stellaris greeting with surprising accuracy. Behind her, Dr. Walker observed the princess with professional interest. Her bioluminescent patterns were unlike anything in their medical records. "Welcome to Earth, Your Highness," Ambassador Rachel said warmly. "We hope you'll find your stay here both comfortable and enlightening." Anna's patterns flickered with polite acknowledgement. "Thank you for your hospitality. I look forward to learning about your world and its people." Dr. Walker noticed how her translator struggled with certain frequencies in her speech, another detail that would need attention. The motorcade took them through New Washington's gleaming streets. Crowds had gathered behind barriers, eager to catch a glimpse of the alien princess. Many waved flags, both human and Stellaris, while news drones buzzed overhead, broadcasting the historic moment. At the Xenobiology Research Center, a special wing had been prepared. The walls shimmered with crystal formations, a poor imitation of Stellaris architecture, but a thoughtful gesture nonetheless. Anna's patterns brightened slightly at the sight, her first genuine emotional response since arriving. "Your Highness," Dr. Walker said, stepping forward, "if you're willing, I'd like to begin some basic health screenings tomorrow, simply to ensure your comfort during your stay." Anna's patterns shifted to what he recognized as curiosity. "You believe you can succeed where my people's physicians failed." "I believe," he said carefully, "that sometimes a fresh perspective can reveal things we might have missed." As the princess settled into her new quarters, messages flew between Earth and the Stellaris Empire. King Marcus's only communication was brief. "Ensure she brings no shame to the Empire." Little did any of them know that this political solution was about to become something far more significant than anyone had planned. The Xenobiology Research Center hummed with quiet activity as Dr. Walker studied the holographic display of Princess Anna's genetic structure. He had been working late into the night for weeks, comparing Stellaris medical texts with his own findings. Something remarkable was beginning to emerge from the data. "Look at this pattern," he muttered, manipulating the 3D image with practiced gestures. The princess's genetic code spiraled before him, glowing with the same ethereal light that pulsed beneath her skin. It's not a defect at all. Across the lab, Princess Anna sat on the examination table, her wings folded neatly behind her. Over the past month, she had grown comfortable with these sessions, finding Dr. Walker's scientific curiosity refreshing after years of being treated as a disappointment by her own physicians. "Have you found something interesting, Doctor?" she asked, her patterns shifting to display what he had learned was intellectual interest. Dr. Walker turned to her, excitement clear in his voice. "Your Highness, I believe your people have completely misunderstood their own reproductive cycle. These patterns here," he gestured to a particular sequence, "they're not signs of infertility. They're signs of an evolutionary adaptation." Anna floated gracefully from the table to examine the display. Her presence made the lights in the lab flicker slightly, a phenomenon they had yet to fully understand. "Explain, please. Your species evolved from light-absorbing creatures, right? Your ability to process starlight for energy is well documented. But what we're seeing here suggests that reproduction might also be tied to specific light frequencies, ones that aren't present on your homeworld anymore." The princess's patterns pulsed with surprise. "How is that possible?" "Think about it. Your people's ancient texts mention breeding cycles tied to celestial events. As your civilization developed, you began living in crystal cities that filtered certain light frequencies. What if those filtered frequencies were crucial for reproduction?" Dr. Walker moved to another display, bringing up charts of solar radiation. Earth's sun produces a broader spectrum of light than your home star, including, he highlighted a particular frequency band, the exact type of radiation that triggers these dormant genetic sequences. Anna's patterns flashed rapidly, a sign of strong emotion. "Are you suggesting I'm not actually infertile?" "Not only that," Dr. Walker said, his voice soft with wonder, "but your genetic structure shows remarkable compatibility with human DNA. The same adaptability that lets your people absorb different types of starlight might allow for successful cross-species reproduction." The lab fell silent as the implications sank in. Anna's patterns had shifted to a deep blue that Dr. Walker had never seen before. "My father," she finally said, "he sent me away because he thought I was useless. But if what you're saying is true..." Dr. Walker moved closer, but maintained a respectful distance. Over the weeks, he had found himself increasingly drawn to the princess's keen intelligence and quiet strength. "Your Highness, would you be willing to participate in some controlled exposure experiments? We could test this theory under careful medical supervision." Anna's patterns swirled with multiple colors: hope, fear, and something else that made the lights in the lab pulse in rhythm with her bioluminescence. "You would help me with this?" "Of course," he replied, trying to keep his voice professional despite the strange flutter in his chest. "It's my job to understand and help." They began the experiments the next day. Each session involved careful exposure to specific light frequencies while monitoring genetic responses. Dr. Walker documented everything meticulously, noting how Anna's patterns grew brighter and more vibrant with each treatment. What neither of them recorded, however, were the long conversations that followed each session. They talked about their worlds, their dreams, the weight of expectations. Dr. Walker shared stories of Earth's oceans, while Anna described the crystal forests of her home. And if sometimes their hands brushed while examining test results, or if their eyes met for longer than strictly necessary, well, that wasn't part of the official research either. As the weeks passed, both of them felt something changing, something as fundamental as the light that flowed through Anna's being. Neither dared name it yet, but its presence was as real as the stars that shone above the research center each night. Early morning sunlight streamed through the crystal-enhanced windows of the research center as Princess Anna hovered near her quarters mirror. Her patterns, usually a steady pulse of blue-white light, now flickered with unusual combinations of colors. Something felt different. Her natural glow seemed brighter, more intense. She placed a delicate hand over her midsection, where an unfamiliar warmth had been growing for days. The sensation wasn't unpleasant, just unexpected. like starlight trapped beneath her skin. Down in the main laboratory, Dr. Walker was reviewing the latest test results when his computer started flashing urgent alerts. The princess's daily biometric readings were showing significant changes. His coffee cup clattered to the floor as he studied the numbers. "This can't be," he whispered, but the data didn't lie. When Anna arrived for her morning checkup, she found Dr. Walker pacing the lab, his usually neat hair disheveled from running his hands through it repeatedly. "Your Highness," he began, then stopped, searching for the right words. "Our latest scans show something unprecedented." Anna's patterns shifted to a questioning violet. "What have you found?" Dr. Walker pulled up a holographic display of her latest readings. "There's a second energy signature within you. It's similar to your own pattern, but with distinct human genetic markers mixed in." The princess went completely still, her patterns freezing in place. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" "You're carrying a child, Your Highness. A hybrid. The first ever recorded between our species." The news hit her like a gravitational wave. Her patterns exploded into a riot of colors, forcing Dr. Walker to shield his eyes. When he could look again, he found her sitting on the examination table, wings trembling slightly. "This changes everything," she whispered. "My father, the Empire, they can't know. Not yet." Dr. Walker nodded, already thinking through the implications. "We'll need to keep this quiet until we understand more." The political ramifications alone could be explosive. Over the next few days, they worked in secret, documenting every detail of this miraculous development. The child was growing faster than either human or Stellar's normal rates, its energy signature getting stronger by the hour. "Look at this," Dr. Walker pointed to a new scan. "The hybrid DNA is perfectly stable. It's as if our species were meant to be compatible." Anna watched the tiny light pulse within her, her patterns glowing with a mother's pride. "Perhaps we were. Our oldest legends speak of stars crossing paths to create new life. But keeping such a momentous secret proved challenging. Other staff members began noticing the princess's enhanced glow. Questions were asked about the increased power usage in the medical wing. And Anna's patterns, try as she might to control them, kept shifting to the distinctive colors of impending motherhood. Late one night, as they reviewed the day's data, Anna finally voiced their shared fear. "What happens when we can't hide it anymore?" Dr. Walker looked up from his screens, his face etched with concern. "The diplomatic implications alone are staggering. You're not just carrying a child. You're carrying proof that our species can unite in the most fundamental way possible." "My father sent me here because he thought I was broken," Anna said, her patterns pulsing with determination. "Now I carry the future of both our peoples." Dr. Walker moved closer, his hand hovering near hers. "Whatever happens, you're not alone in this. We'll figure it out together." Their moment was interrupted by a sudden alert. Someone from the Stellar's embassy was requesting access to the princess's medical files. They had mere hours before their secret would be discovered. "We need to make a decision," Dr. Walker said urgently. "Once this gets out, everything changes. Are you ready for that?" Anna's patterns settled into a steady, confident glow. "I spent my whole life being seen as a failure. Now I'm part of something extraordinary. I'm ready." As they prepared to face the coming storm, neither of them noticed how their biorhythms had synchronized, their heartbeats matching the pulse of the new life they had inadvertently created. A child of two worlds, glowing with possibilities. The crystal throne room of the Stellar's Empire erupted in chaos as King Marcus received the news. His patterns flashed dangerous shades of crimson, causing the messenger to cower before him. "Impossible." His voice thundered through the chamber, shattering several decorative crystals. "Show me the medical reports again." The holographic display flickered to life, showing the undeniable evidence. Princess Anna was carrying a child. A hybrid child. The genetic markers were clear, both Stellaris and human DNA, perfectly merged. King Marcus's wings spread to their full span, his rage making the air crackle with energy. Those primitive creatures have corrupted my bloodline. Ready my ship. I will retrieve her myself." Meanwhile, on Earth, the news had spread like wildfire through diplomatic channels. The Xenobiology Research Center was now surrounded by both human security forces and media drones. Inside, Princess Anna and Dr. Walker were meeting with Earth's top officials. "We cannot simply hand her over," Ambassador Rachel argued, standing protectively near Anna. "The princess and her child are now under Earth's protection." The Stellaris ambassador, his patterns rigid with formal displeasure, faced them across the conference table. "This is a matter of royal succession. The princess must return immediately to face the Imperial Council." Anna's patterns remained surprisingly calm, though Dr. Walker could see the subtle flickers of stress in her light. The child within her pulsed with a steady glow, visible even through her robes. "I will not return," Anna announced, her voice carrying the authority of her royal training. "Not until my child's safety is guaranteed." Suddenly, the room's screens lit up with an emergency broadcast. A Stellaris battle fleet had just emerged from hyperspace, led by the King's personal vessel. They took up aggressive positions around Earth's orbital defense platforms. "Your father demands your immediate return," the Stellaris ambassador said, his patterns showing smugness. "He brings the might of the Empire to ensure it." Dr. Walker stepped forward, despite protocol. "The atmospheric conditions alone make moving the princess dangerous in her current state. The child's unique genetic structure requires careful monitoring." But their scientific arguments were drowned out by military alerts. Earth's defense forces were mobilizing, matching the Stellaris fleet's positions. The situation was balanced on a knife's edge. In orbit, Cain Marcus watched the blue planet through his ship's crystal viewport. "Send down the ultimatum," he commanded. "Either my daughter returns voluntarily, or we will retrieve her ourselves." Back on Earth, the Global Council scrambled to respond. Military leaders advised immediate defensive action, while diplomats pleaded for negotiation. Through it all, Anna remained eerily serene, her patterns glowing with an inner strength that seemed to grow by the hour. "There's something you should see," Dr. Walker said suddenly, pulling up new medical scans. "The child. It's emanating energy patterns we've never seen before. They're affecting both Stellaris and human technology." Indeed, everywhere the princess went, communication seemed clearer, power systems ran more efficiently, and even the crystal architecture responded to her presence. The hybrid child was proving to be more than just a diplomatic crisis. It was a breakthrough in energy manipulation itself. Ambassador Rachel saw an opportunity. "Broadcast these findings to both fleets," she ordered. "Let them see what they're really fighting over." As the data streamed to ships in orbit, something unexpected happened. The Stellaris crews, seeing the familiar patterns of their own energy signatures enhanced and improved by human DNA, began to question their orders. Even Cain Marcus fell silent as he watched the readings. The child's energy signature pulsed through every crystal display, harmonizing with both human and Stellaris technology. It was beautiful, undeniable proof that both species were stronger together than apart. "My king," his science advisor whispered, patterns showing awe. "This could revolutionize our entire understanding of energy manipulation." But before Cain Marcus could respond, a new signal caught everyone's attention. Deep space sensors detected multiple ships emerging from hyperspace, ships bearing the marks of the Imperial Council themselves. The situation had just become even more complicated. The Imperial Council's ships emerged from hyperspace like crystal flowers blooming in the void. Their ancient vessels, far more intricate than modern Stellaris ships, cast prismatic lights across Earth's orbit. Leading them was the Grand Archivist's vessel, its surface etched with historical records dating back millennia. Inside the Xenobiology Research Center, Princess Anna's patterns suddenly intensified, resonating with the ancient ships above. The child within her responded, creating waves of light that made every crystal in the building sing. The prophecy. The Grand Archivist's voice echoed through all communication channels, in both human and stellarous frequencies. It's exactly as the ancient texts foretold. Dr. Walker watched in amazement as holographic images appeared, showing ancient stellarous cave paintings. They depicted beams of light intermingling with solid forms, creating children who could bridge the gap between stars. These records, the archivist continued, were sealed away when our people retreated into their crystal cities. We forgot our true nature, forgot that we were meant to evolve and change. King Marcus's ship hung motionless in space as the truth of his people's history unfolded before him. The images showed their ancestors living under open skies, their patterns mixing freely with other species' energies. On Earth, Anna stood in the research center's main chamber, her body now glowing so brightly that special filters had to be installed. Dr. Walker stayed by her side, monitoring the incredible energy readings. "The child isn't just combining our DNA," he announced, studying the latest scans. "It's achieving what both species have been trying to do for centuries: perfect energy manipulation, the ability to transform light into matter and back again." The Imperial Council's ships formed a protective circle around Earth, their ancient crystal matrices humming in harmony with Anna's child. But not everyone welcomed this revelation. "Heresy!" shouted traditionalist members of the Stellarist court, their patterns flashing angry red. "Our bloodline must remain pure." They launched attacks against both the Council ships and Earth's defenses, their weapons flaring against protective shields. But something extraordinary happened. Wherever their energy weapons struck, the hybrid child's influence transformed the destructive force into harmless light. "Don't you see?" Anna's voice carried across all frequencies, her royal training mixing with newfound power. "This is why I was born different. Not as a failure, but as a bridge." Deep in the Stellarist Empire's archives, more ancient texts began to resonate, revealing long-hidden prophecies. They spoke of a time when the light-bearers would rejoin the star dancers, bringing forth children who could reshape reality itself. Dr. Walker's instruments were nearly overloading from the energy readings. "The child is stabilizing both human and Stellarist energy patterns. It's teaching both species how to understand each other at the most fundamental level." King Marcus, watching his daughter glow with power he never imagined, felt his patterns shift from anger to awe. The Grand Archivist's ship transmitted more historical records, showing how the Stellarist people had once been nomads among the stars, sharing their light with all they met. But the traditionalists wouldn't give up easily. A group of hardline crystal ships broke formation, charging their weapons. "We will not allow this abomination." Before they could fire, Anna's child pulsed once, and every crystal in their ships began to sing the ancient songs of the star dancers. The weapons transformed into pure light, harmless and beautiful. "The time of isolation is over," the Grand Archivist declared. As it was foretold, the bridge between matter and energy, between solid and light, has returned. Dr. Walker looked at his instruments in disbelief. The child's influence was spreading, teaching human technology how to speak with Stellarist crystals, showing Stellarist ships how to interface with human computers. "It's not just a hybrid," he realized. "It's the next step in both our species' evolution." As the truth settled across both fleets, the traditionalist resistance crumbled. How could they deny what their own crystals sang? What their most ancient prophecies had promised? Above Earth, two civilizations faced a future neither had imagined, while below, a princess and a doctor watched their impossible child reshape reality itself. The medical bay of the Xenobiology Research Center glowed with an otherworldly light as Princess Anna prepared to give birth. The room's crystals pulsed in sync with her patterns, creating a perfect environment of both human and Stellarist energies. Dr. Walker stood nearby, his instruments recording every moment of this historic event. The child's energy signature had grown so strong that special shielding had been installed throughout the facility. Even so, every electronic device within a mile radius responded to its presence. "It's time," Anna whispered, her patterns shifting to brilliant gold. The birth itself was unlike anything either species had witnessed. As the child emerged, it existed simultaneously as both matter and pure energy, its form shifting between solid and light. Its first cry came as a pulse of radiance that temporarily illuminated the entire planet's atmosphere. Cain Marcus, watching from behind protective screens, felt his pattern synchronize with his grandchild's. The baby's light touched something ancient within him, awakening memories passed down through countless generations of his people. A perfect union, the Grand Archivist announced, his pattern showing deep satisfaction. Both solid and light, both human and stellarous. The child, a girl, opened eyes that sparkled like stars. Her skin shifted between human flesh and crystalline light, and tiny wings of pure energy spread from her shoulders. When she smiled, nearby crystals chimed in harmony. "She's beautiful," Dr. Walker said softly, his scientific detachment forgotten as tiny fingers wrapped around his hand, sending gentle waves of warmth through his body. The baby's influence spread rapidly. Within days, human scientists reported breakthrough after breakthrough in energy manipulation and crystal technology. Stellarous engineers found themselves understanding human biological systems with unprecedented clarity. In orbit, the combined fleet of Earth and Stellarous ships had transformed. The vessels now incorporated both species technologies, creating hybrid ships that could navigate both physical space and energy waves. The prophecy speaks of this as just the beginning, the Grand Archivist explained during a global broadcast. She is the first of a new generation that will bridge not just our species, but our understanding of the universe itself. Trade agreements and cultural exchanges flourished. Humans learned to incorporate living crystals into their technology, while Stellarous cities began to pulse with the warmth of human innovation. The child's very existence proved that differences could become strengths. Cain Marcus, his earlier prejudices transformed by love for his grandchild, made a historic announcement from Earth's surface, the first time a Stellarous monarch had ever stood on solid ground. "The laws of succession are changed," he declared, his patterns showing absolute conviction. "Our empire will no longer be bound by the chains of purity. We will grow, adapt, and evolve, as our ancestors did before us." Dr. Walker and Anna watched their daughter grow, amazed by each new development. She could speak both verbally and through pattern light, could solidify energy into matter at will, and showed an innate understanding of both species sciences. The research center became a school, then a university as more hybrid children were born. Each one unique, each one carrying the potential to further unite their civilizations. The ancient prophecies spoke true. These children were reshaping the very fabric of both societies. "Look at them," Anna said one evening, watching her daughter play with both human and Stellarous children, their combined laughter making the air shimmer with joy. "They don't see differences. They just see possibilities." Dr. Walker smiled, taking her hand as her pattern swirled with happiness. "They're the future we never knew we needed." Above them, Earth's sky had changed. Crystal satellites now orbited alongside traditional ones, creating a network that united both worlds. Ships of light and metal carried explorers to distant stars, seeking other civilizations to share their newfound harmony with. And in the grand crystal archives of both worlds, a new story was being written, not of conquest or isolation, but of unity and growth. A story that began with a king's mistake, a doctor's curiosity, and a princess who was never truly broken, but was instead the key to everything. The child who started it all looked up at the stars, her form shifting between light and matter, and smiled. This wasn't an ending. It was just the beginning of a whole new kind of adventure.